This episode contains brief discussions of sexual assault, which may be distressing to some listeners. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is always available. Go to findahelpline.com to access relevant services available in your country, or dial 988 for this 24/7 suicide hotline in Canada or the US. Please take care while listening.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Crime Family. I'm your co-host, Katie, and I'm here with my brother and sister, who are also my co-hosts, AJ and Lisa. Today, I have a case that's a compilation of 3 different stories that center around online dating and meeting up with people who you've been chatting with online, but who've never actually met in person. And I don't know why I stumbled on this topic, but I did, and I'm just gonna go with it. I've actually never had to do online dating, and I'm glad that I hopefully never have to. The first case I'm gonna talk about, there's not a lot out there. It's pretty open and shut, but it's a local case to where I live. So it happened in the Okanagan in British Columbia, and it's Kelowna, Vernon, Peachland, Summerland, that area. And so I just kind of want to shed light on it because, like I said, it hits close to home, and it's just kind of like a reminder that these kind of things can happen anywhere, and literally just in your own town. So just always be aware. And then I'm going to look at another case. It's called Operation Fireball. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this or anything similar, but it's about a woman named Jez. And it came from a podcast originally called Something Was Wrong, and then Crime Junkie podcast. Who hasn't heard of Crime Junkie? They kind of picked up the story, and they interviewed Jez and just went more into her story about what happened to her. And for whatever reason, that case just really stuck with me because it's very eerie, and we'll get into that. And then the last case I'm going to talk about is more of an international case that made international headlines. It happened in New Zealand, and it's the murder of Grace Millane. So I'm sure you guys have heard about that one. Maybe if the name doesn't ring a bell, once I show some of the footage, you might know what I'm talking about because there is a lot of footage in this case. With that, I'll just dive right in. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is the murder of a woman, like I was saying, who lived in the Kelowna area. She actually lived in the Peachland area in the Okanagan. And so when you think of online dating, most people I think the risks of meeting someone online for the first time, it's the conversation kind of centers around, oh, just be careful, meet them in public, you don't know what they're gonna be like, you just, trust your instincts, and then you think of what the worst thing is that could happen, and I think a lot of people think along the lines of, "Oh, the date's just gonna be awkward, or you're not gonna have anything in common, or you're not really gonna like each other, or the person's gonna kinda creep you out," but then in most situations, you can just kind of leave and never have to think about it again or see them again. But as we all know, that's not always the case, and there are much bigger risks, especially if you're not meeting in a public place, if people don't actually know where you're meeting up with somebody, and so they have no way of kind of contacting you. So this happened in April of 2023 in the Okanagan region of British Columbia, like I said. And 27-year-old Brianna Jankauskas went on a first date with a person that she had been communicating with online through an online dating app. And I guess she had been messaging 38-year-old Brandon Davina for several weeks before they had agreed to meet up. So this wasn't just a, swipe right, let's meet up right now kind of thing. It was a chat. It was kind of a relationship sort of forming. took a couple weeks, and then they finally agreed to meet up. On the evening of August 20th, 2023, Brandon picked up Brianna from her friend's place in Vernon, BC, and drove her to his place in Kelowna for their date. And so, just for reference, like Vernon to Kelowna is probably like a 45-minute drive, depending on where you are. So, that's just kind of some context of the distance between where they were going. And the plan was for them to go to his house and he, I guess, would make dinner or they would just have dinner at Brandon's place. Brianna was texting her friend Tiana throughout the night, and at first everything was fine. She texted Tiana saying that things were going well and that she was planning to stay the night there because Brandon had been drinking, and because he had driven her there, she didn't have a way home, so she just decided to stay the night with him. And it wasn't long before things started going sideways. So at 10:13 that night, Brianna texted, He wants me here all day, but I don't know about that. I want to come back tomorrow." And the next morning, she's still texting, plans have changed again, and she texts, "Ugh, I will be back at your place tomorrow. He has to work, so I'm hoping I can get out tomorrow while he's gone, but have to figure out how to get back." So, even just from this text here, very quickly, it seems like this guy is very controlling. The fact that she has to say that she's hoping to get out while he's at work makes me think that he's not letting her leave, because otherwise, why could she not just walk out the door? At 8:38 p.m. that next day, Brianna's texts about her situation had become even more concerning. So she says, "If I could find a way back now, I would. That's why I'm going to leave while he's not here tomorrow because he's not the one for me. He's very pushy and controlling. I have to now figure out how to hide hickeys on my neck. His anger is terrible. I just want to leave, but I can't till he goes to work in the morning. And I don't know. He's a fucking drunk." And at this point, Tiana is telling Brianna to call the police. And she says, "Call the cops on him. Who cares if he's drunk? Cops will even drive you home. Just tell him you live in Vernon. Cops will drive you. You have to call on them." And Tiana says that those last texts came in around 9 o'clock p.m. And then she never hears back from Brianna. Now, of course, Tiana feels like something is wrong. Obviously, it feels like Brianna is like stuck at this guy's house, but she doesn't have the address of where Brianna is. She has no idea where Brandon lives. And so it's not like she can just go and pick her up or send someone to get her because she actually does not know where she is. So she's kind of stuck at this point and not able to do anything. 45 minutes after this last text message, a 911 call comes in from Brandon. He says, "Someone is dying on my couch right now." And then he just kind of hangs up without any context or what happened or, staying on the line to get directions on what to do. And emergency crews respond to Brandon's home and they find Brianna suffering from serious head injuries. And Brandon had fled the scene at this point, and Brianna would die shortly after. And so, of course, it's pretty obvious what happened here. It was Brandon's house. He's the one that called. They find him. And evidence presented at trial showed that Brandon had repeatedly struck Brianna in the head with a wrench, an 18-inch wrench, and she suffered catastrophic injuries. And Brandon was charged, and during his trial, he presented the defense of provocation. So basically, he's saying that he was provoked and then he just snapped and killed Brianna. He testified that he never meant to murder her and that he had been drinking all day and claimed that he attacked her after she had first slapped him and insulted him, calling him a fucking drunk and a stupid idiot. And so I guess in his mind, that was enough for him to attack her and repeatedly hit her over the head with a wrench. And obviously, this guy had anger issues, as we could tell. He was keeping her, wouldn't let her leave. She didn't have any way to leave. And then he just snapped at her and killed her. So, obviously, just a total loser. And so, in January of 2026, so, just a couple months from this recording, a British Columbia Supreme Court judge found Brandon guilty of second-degree murder. And they rejected his arguments that intoxication or provocation reduced his responsibility. And he was supposed to be sentenced in February, but I guess it got pushed back and he's returning to court in March for that sentence. And so in Canada, a conviction for second-degree murder carries a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment. So he's gonna get life, but the only thing that they need to figure out is the parole time, which that's what he's gonna be figuring out in March, and it has to be at least 10 years, but it could be up to a maximum of 25.
Can't I thought for first degree you get life with parole, but I didn't know for second degree you automatically got life. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So what's the difference
um,
then?
I think for first degree, it's like you get life without parole for 25 years, like, that's the sentence you get, and then for second degree, it's like you still get life, but you could get paroled after 10,
Yeah,
I think is the
I didn't
difference
know.
there.
I didn't know it's
Yeah.
automatically life, so that's learn something new.
I I mean, yeah, that's good. So we could say in prison for life, which I feel like he
Yeah.
deserves.
And I mean, if he still displays the anger that he clearly has, he probably won't get parole.
Yeah, anger management.
When you said he got convicted of second degree murder, I was just worried that he wasn't gonna it was gonna be a light sentence for some reason, but it's good that he got life.
Yeah, I think he was originally trying to go for manslaughter, which, wouldn't be a life sentence, but they actually had a good judge in this case, and they were like, "Nah, it's definitely second degree." So, yeah, we'll see what his actual sentence is.
So are there people out there who like think that he should have gotten like first degree? Like, is there people out there that think he like planned it in advance and that it wasn't actually just heat of the moment? Or we
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know.
know. I actually didn't see anything that come up in my research that people thought it should be first degree. Like I said, this is like it seems like a very just open and shut. We obviously know what happened, but I'm not sure if there's any speculation that he like lured her there under the intention to hurt her or kill her. Like I don't think there was planning there. There's no evidence of that, and I'm not sure if people are arguing that or not, but yeah.
What's the difference between manslaughter and second degree?
Isn't manslaughter? I feel like manslaughter is like involves like negligence of some sort or
Yeah,
something. Like I think of like when somebody does like a hit and run, that's like manslaughter or like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like you kill someone, but
vehicular
you really
manslaughter or something.
really didn't mean to. Yeah, it was like there was no
Yeah,
intent to kill someone, but you did. And second degree is
yeah.
like kind of yeah, like a spur of the moment. You
Like you intend to kill
you
them,
weren't
but it's still
planning on
spur of the
it.
moment.
Yeah,
Like,
you were
you flipped out and then you beat them hoping to kill them, but, maybe, this
yeah,
essentially.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, even if in your mind you're like, "I'm gonna kill them," while you're doing it, that can still be considered first degree because 'cause you're planning to do
Yeah.
it in the act. But I think
Hmm.
second degree is like you didn't have any intention on doing it, but then as you're doing it
Like, that's intention. The intention changes, like, you wanna kill
yeah,
them.
sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just like it's a really gray area.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy though between first and second degree. Like at the end of the day, the result's the same. So why does it matter like whether you had planned it ahead of time or you didn't? I mean, obviously you still have it in you and you're capable of that, and the person
Mhm.
ends up dead. So why? Like I feel like a person with second degree murder should still get a heaviest sentence as first degree. Like really, what's the difference? Do you think
Yeah,
there's a
well, like,
difference?
'cause the first degree, it's like I mean, can you but first degree, you would think of, like, you're planning on doing it, you're, like, have this whole plan set out, you lure someone over to your house just to do that, versus you're drunk, someone's in your house to make you mad, and you hit them, and they die. You can see the difference there, like, yes, you still murdered them, but you weren't, like didn't lure them over there in the intention of killing them, right?
But you're still someone who has a propensity to kill. So what's the
Yeah,
difference?
I know. I mean, yeah, when you come down to
Like
it, you still murdered somebody,
yeah, and
so
like you're somebody like there's a lot of people who have like anger management issues, but then also don't kill people.
mhm, yeah.
So
There's a lot of people who get blackout drunk and don't murder people, so, yeah.
yeah,
Clearly,
it's
he is just
crazy.
an awful mix of just drank too much, had very bad anger issues, couldn't control himself. Still not an excuse, but that's what happened here. So, yeah, that's a very, like, cut and dry case, but it's just an example, like I said, close to home of someone that met someone online, met up at them at their house. Like, people always say, "You'll go somewhere public," and just always let people know where you are, who you're with, but, yeah, so this is just a really sad case that happened very recently and very close to me. Um, okay, so this next case that I'm going to get into is called Operation Fireball, and you both said earlier that you don't really know this one, like, you haven't heard anything about this, or have you?
I mean I mean, The name doesn't sound familiar, but I'm not good with names. Like, maybe I have heard of it when you talk about it. I don't know the name.
Okay, and this is kind of another one where it's like, is it even a crime? Like, is it a thing? Or are people just blowing it out of proportion or what? But anyway, when I first heard the story, it, like, creeped me out just 'cause, like, what if this is a thing? And it just I don't know, when you're in a situation like that, if you didn't never had heard of this, you wouldn't think anything suspicious was going on. So I'll just get into it, and then we can go from there. So this term, Operation Fireball, was, like, coined or first came out in 2020, I think it was, in this episode from Crime Junkie, who released an episode, called BWBRSA, which is Be Weird, Be Rude, Stay Alive, Operation Fireball. And what followed was a wave of online discussion, social media amplification, and listener submissions describing eerily similar experiences across multiple cities. So the story that's presented in this episode, it begins with a woman identified as Jez, and according to her account, on this podcast, she had matched with a man on a dating app shortly after moving to Denver. So she was new to the city, she really didn't know anyone, and so she wanted to go out and meet people, whether it was for dating or just, like, making friends. You kinda have to go out and meet people to get new friends, right? So the intent of this was, I think, a first date with this guy, and so Jez and her date had decided to meet at a local bar and just to get drinks to start off the night, and they were texting, like, she had his phone number, so they were texting from, like, phone to phone, it wasn't just through, like, a platform, and he told her that he was running late because there was lots of traffic, and he instructed her to order at the bar 2 shots of Fireball whiskey so that when he got there, he would, like, know who she was because he would see 2 shots sitting there next to her, and that was just the plan. She was like, "Okay, that makes sense." Just so, like, you're not looking around the bar like, "Who am I supposed to meet?" Like, I feel like they would know what each other looks like, but anyway, that was just the MO here, was just order 2 shots of Fireball. So Jez gets to the bar, she orders the Fireball, and then she's just kind of, like, standing there, sitting there, waiting for this guy to show up, and he actually never shows up. And she tries calling him on the number that they've been texting, and the call doesn't go through, and it's actually, like, a disconnected number, which is, like, super sketchy. Not sure how you can be texting on a number that doesn't exist. So either it was, like, a burner phone, he was, like, texting and then disconnected the number and couldn't get a hold of him anymore. So I guess she's just like, "What the hell? This is sketchy." But soon after this happens, another man who was, like, either sitting close by or standing around approaches her and starts this, like, initial conversation with her, and they're just talking, and he suggests that they grab a table and they get dinner together, and Jez is kinda hesitant at first, but I don't know, she's just like, "Ma I guess I was here to meet somebody, I met a different person, but maybe, this could go okay." And before she agrees to anything, she happens just to go to the restroom. And when she does that, like, one of the female bartenders kind of, like, busts in the bathroom and after her and wants to talk to her about, like, this serious situation that's going down. And Jez is, like, confused. She has, like, no clue what's going on. And she says that the man that has been talking to Jez, like, she says that he's been waiting for her specifically and that he was there because of her. Jez thinks she's mistaken because she's never met this guy. She's not like she was ever talking to him before. It was just some random guy that came up to her. But the bartender explains that she has seen this guy at the bar many times before, and it's like the same situation happens over and over again. She says that a woman goes up to the bar, orders 2 Fireball shots, and then waits for somebody that just never shows up. And then this guy out of nowhere just approaches them, starts talking, they have a conversation, and then he invites them to grab dinner with him at one of the tables at the restaurant. And she says that she notes that sometimes the women, they just seem to be way more intoxicated by the end of the meal than she thinks that they should be based on the amount of drinks that they're being served. And so, I mean, if you're only getting like 1 or 2 drinks, but you're like somehow hammered, it just is kind of sketchy.
Why don't they ban this guy from this bar?
I mean,
Like,
you don't have,
like
but you
they
don't
know
have
who
any.
he is. He does it multiple times. Like,
They don't exactly know who he is, and they don't. He's not like he is doing anything wrong. He's just
Just
inviting people to sit with him at the table.
it's just maybe I don't know, it's why I think I'm not, like, it's crazy that you would say yes to this guy. I would be like, "Get the hell away from me," and, like, I'd be heading but that's just me, I'm antisocial. But, like, it's just, like, I it's just crazy to me
But
that
Be
this
I
woman
know,
antisocial,
but
stay
think
alive.
about it though. But think about it. You're like out there, you don't know anybody. You're out there to meet someone on a date. They don't show up, but then like this guy who obviously must be like at least decent enough looking that you're gonna want to like hang around. He's like, "Oh, you want to just like stay here and grab dinner?" And like you're not like you're leaving with him, right? You're like, "Okay, yeah, might as well. I'm already out. I was planning on meeting somebody new. Might as well." Right? If you're like
But
in
also,
that
like,
mode and
but it
you're
gets to a
there
point
for
though, like, it gets to a point where the bartender or this person's going up warning other women that this guy does this. Like, get him
okay,
out of
yeah.
there.
But this this is the first time that she actually was able to warn any of the women. Like, this is the first time she's gone up to one of them and, like, said something. Because I mean, you think about it, this could just be a guy, like, this could be his whole that's how he gets women to go out with him, like, "Oh, you've been stood up. I'm here instead," kind of thing, right? No and so yeah, so, like, we don't really know what was happening, if it was him that was standing people up, and then he just happens to appear and then talk to these women. Okay, so yeah, so the bartender says, like, after most of the time after this guy and the people, the women that he approaches after they're done eating dinner, they leave together. And she says, like, it's not like he ever comes back with the same person. It's like they never see the woman again, and he's back doing the same thing again. So, super sketchy, and of course, if someone said that to me about the guy that I was talking to, I'd be freaked out, and Jez, of course, is freaked out, and she decides that she's obviously not going with this guy, she's not gonna have dinner with him, but she doesn't want to make it obvious that she is, like, creeped out and knows something is going on. So and she had left her purse in the chair by this guy at the bar, so she's had to go back and get her purse, and the guy's still there, and he had ordered her a drink or something, but then Jez decided to order her own, like, iced tea, which made him, like, super irritated for some reason, um, probably because he spiked her drink. That's my conclusion. But he is super, like, pushy, wanting to have dinner with her. He's, like, "You're here already, why not? Why not just eat with me, have a drink?" She's, like, getting frustrated. And she's like, "No," like, "I'm not going with you. I'm not eating with you." And he says and she's like, "I'm meeting up with some friends, so, I'm good." And he's like, "Well, I know, like, a really good place nearby that has really good cocktails or something like that, so why don't you just come with me and then we'll meet up with your friends?" And she's just like, "No, like, I'm not going anywhere, like, fuck off," basically. And finally, after just I don't know how long of him bugging her, he finally just leaves on his own. And she is, like, kind of scared to leave on her own, so she actually stays at this bar for hours afterwards just to make sure that this guy is not hanging out, waiting for her, and eventually she does make it back to her car and get home safely, and this is, like, kind of the last that she's ever heard from this guy or anything like this has ever happened to her,
Oh, I thought you
but
were gonna say the last time she was ever heard from. I was like, "Oh
no.
god."
No, because, yeah, she was interviewed in, like, the Crime Junkie episode, so we know that, she made it out of this, but after this, like, theories are out there, of course. People are thinking that maybe this is a ploy for just this guy, like, innocently, that's how he attracts women, like, it is him that's texting and then stands up these women and then he pretends to be a different person and, with, like, a knight in shining armor, like, "Oh, you were stood up, but, I'll take you out instead," and it seems to work. That could be, like, the innocent explanation for it, but, of course, others are thinking, like, this is, like, a huge ploy for, like, a sex trafficking ring where this guy gets these women alone and gets them out of the bar, and then they're never seen again and something happens. The thing is, like, not that I know of, but no one has ever come forward to be like, "Yes, this has happened to me with this guy at the same bar," and whether there's just, like, they don't know about these other people that it's happened to, or if they're just not around anymore to, like, come forward, we don't really know. But other people have come forward to say that this has happened to them, like a similar situation, not in the same bar, but like different places. And it's not necessarily Fireball. It's just like they've been told to order 2 shots and wait at the bar for a date. And of course, nothing has ever happened to them, but there's stories out there where the same thing has happened to different people. And the FBI have actually looked into this and they're saying that there's no evidence that this is like a huge sex trafficking ring where this is how they lure women out. But I
But there's no
mean,
evidence that it isn't either.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems very strange that this has happened to more than one person in more than one bar across the US. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Like, to me, it's just so creepy. Like, if that was you in that situation or me in that situation, I just like, you wouldn't think anything sinister in the moment. I wouldn't think anyway.
I I always assume the worst. That's why I'm ever gonna be single. People like my friends always like, "Lisa, you can't but assume someone's gonna, a random guy's gonna strangle when you sleep and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I'm always on alert. I would always yeah, that's just me though. I'm just super paranoid. But yeah, I never heard of that before actually. Like my friends, they they all they do is online date. So and they've never said they never had this happen to them. Like someone say, "I order shots." It's just interesting to me that it's like how would all the predators in different cities know to do that? You know what I mean? It's just like
But yeah, unless it was like an organized ring.
yeah.
So something on the dark web, probably somewhere where people talk about it and
Yeah.
plan it.
Or,
Like,
or it
ugh.
is just like a tactic. Like that's how you break the ice or meet somebody. It's like you'd see that they're standing there with two shots, and then you're like, oh, like, what's going on? You get stood up.
Like, how about you buy the shots when you get here?
Oh my god. Yeah,
It's just
yeah, I'm not
yeah.
paying for these. You buy them when you get
Yeah.
here. Um,
It's
yeah,
just yeah,
It's
that's
just
very
fucking crazy
interesting.
though when you think of like there's so many like tactics like you see it on like social media all the time. People are like warning people out there like this is a new tactic people use. Like the craziest things do that no the average person would never even think twice about. So it's just crazy. Like it doesn't shock me at all that this would be something, and it does
I
sound
know.
very like human trafficking type
It
of
does, right?
operation.
It's just yeah, it's so sketchy that the and like the enough for like the bartenders to like notice the pattern of the same guy that does this over and over again. Probably he doesn't do it anymore. I would assume like he left and has moved on because
He has a new tactic now, so you don't see him
yeah,
yeah, like,
I
he's
mean,
at another bar doing something else, but
Maybe it's the same
yeah,
guy. Is it the
it's
same guy in
crazy.
every state?
yeah, I don't know. I don't think they've never really identified the person that comes up to these women or tells them to order these shots and wait. So, yeah, but just like the thought, it's so sketchy to think like, oh, innocent situation, and then it's like, oh, let's just go to another bar, and then like you leave with this guy, and then just like never seen again. It's scary, and I don't know, and people don't know if that's actually what happens. Like they're never seen again, but the people don't know who these people are, so they don't know if they've never been seen again. But anyway, it's just scary, and that story always sticks with me because I'm just like, ugh, you just never know. That's another one of those things. Is it a crime? Is it not? So, but again, online dating, be careful.
Yeah, was it the moral of
um,
the story? Like, just be careful, I guess.
yeah, and the thing with this one is like they did meet in a public place. There was lots of other people around. Like she had her own car. If she wanted to leave, she could, but she could have, gotten drugged or drank too much and then lured out of this bar with a guy that she thought was like a nice guy. So you just never
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Trust your gut always.
Yeah,
If
for
Well,
something
she's
sure.
seems
also
Also,
sketchy, it
thank God
probably
for that
is.
waitress, like, like, just, like,
yeah.
looking out for,
You just
looking
have
out for
to
this other girl.
you have to be so smart and mindful, like, she ordered another drink when she came and didn't take a drink. That's huge smarts on her end, but a lot of people don't think I would think that way. And that probably saved her, like, you just have to be
Yeah, yeah,
smart. That's how I'd
yeah.
say it, but you do.
I mean, even if he didn't drug it, like, it was an alcoholic drink, and she knew enough to be like, I'm not gonna be just continue to drink alcohol all night with this guy, like, I'm gonna have a non-alcoholic drink so that I'm like, my wits are about me, right? So, yeah, super smart for her to even think about that.
But also, they need to ban that guy. Like,
Uh,
I don't know. I
yeah, but I
find it
mean, he
crazy that like this
no proof he did anything wrong.
the bartender takes it upon herself to go warn the women. How about you fucking ban this guy? I don't know. That's
Uh,
what I would do.
I know.
What's
Well,
his
I don't know
name?
who he is,
Let me
so I'm
see.
sure he never came back. Or he, yeah, like they're never able to like go up to him and be, and also be
Yeah.
scary. Like if you think it's this guy that's like involved in this big sex trafficking ring, are you gonna go up to him and confront him yourself? Like, no. They got the FBI
Yeah.
involved, but the FBI said there's nothing going on either. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's super sketchy. And again, it could be like an online tactic that is just for picking up women. Guys that are like shy or like want to break the ice, like, oh, I see you've been stood up. I'm here. I don't know. It's weird. But it could be a thing. Innocent and just weird.
I think I'd rather be stood up.
But I also
Yeah.
feel like somebody who's like shy enough to like try that tactic, like, is also not gonna be the same type of person that's gonna want to risk something sketchy, seeming sketchy. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be seen as sketchy, I feel. So like someone who's like too shy to do something normally, he's
But
not
I think
gonna
that
like want to try that. I don't know. It just seems weird to
I
me.
don't know. I feel like well, it used to probably happen a lot where you're out in bars and people come up to you, and that's how people used to meet people, right? You go up to a stranger. No one does that anymore because people. If you go up to a stranger now, everyone thinks you're a sketch bag. But that's how people used to meet back in the day, right? You go up to somebody random that you see out in public, and that's how you become friends or in a
I mean,
relationship or
to be
whatever.
fair,
So,
all the guys came up to me were sketch bags, so I guess if you're used to it.
yeah. So yeah. Um,
Sketchy.
it is sketchy. So I always think about that story because it creeps me out.
I guess like
Uh,
what's the moral of the story? Like if something seems sketchy, it probably is.
yeah,
So
always trust your gut. And
yeah. Be
I
antisocial, stay
mean,
alive.
mhm. Yeah, be antisocial. Yeah, just like have your guard up no matter who the person is because you just never know. So, okay, so I'm going to move on now to the third story that I have for this episode. And this is the murder of Grace Millane. And I think, Lisa, you said you are familiar with this one or have at least heard it or seen
Oh,
some of the
yeah.
footage.
No, I know the case, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there is a lot out there about this one. It's like you can literally document the guy's like whole fucking trail of what he did, but I'm just gonna like I'm not gonna go into that much detail because it's out there. There's a lot out there already. This takes place December 1st of 2018. Grace was a 22-year-old British backpacker and she had met a man on Tinder while traveling in Auckland, New Zealand. And so Grace had recently graduated university and she was doing a solo year-long trip around the world, which is like a dream. Can you imagine just being able to go for a whole year and just travel? And she's brave because she's like doing it on her own, which is crazy. But she's like obviously she like texting her friends and family throughout each leg of her trip, right? Like taking pictures, excited about different things. And so it wasn't like she was completely on her own for a year. She was in touch with everybody that she knew. So Grace had matched with a man named Jesse Kempson, who was living in the area at the time, and the two decided to meet up for a date. And like I said, there's a lot of footage on this case. There's tons of CCTV cameras in Auckland, and they're like good quality cameras. It's not like a blurry figure, and people are like, "Oh, who's this?" You can like clearly tell who everybody is, like 100% throughout the whole of Auckland. So that's pretty sweet. And you can track their whereabouts throughout, like, when they met, through their date, like, what they're doing afterwards, and I'm just gonna pop up some of this footage here so you can get, like, a just, like, a better sense of what I'm talking about as I go through this. Okay, so there's Jesse off to meet there's them right here, and there's just they're meeting up in a public space. This is Grace, and yep, you can see that they hug, and they are off to, um a bar, I guess, or to grab some drinks. And the thing with all like these CCTV footage is like that you get 360 coverage. So when you're going back to look, you can see like you can make the camera follow people if you want. So like the camera's not doing this at the time, but you can zoom in, zoom out, and follow people around like through their whole journey, which is what this footage is doing because it's like after the fact. And so you really can follow somebody for like their whole night. Which is kind
Why
of
isn't every
cool.
camera like this?
Looking back. I know, like, yeah, we can take some tips from places like this. Um, and like I said, it's, like, good quality too. You can clearly see this is the same people. They're not just, like, blurry blobs wearing the same thing. It's like, yeah, that's them for sure, and that follows them around, and they go into this, kind of, like, bar place. And so they're looking at menus, and the Jesse said in his text, like, before they had met that he would, pay for all the drinks. I guess just trying to be a gentleman, he would pay for everything that night. And so this is them at one of their stops out at one of the restaurants, bars, um, talking, having a good time. Nothing sketchy is going on. It's not like he's super forceful. They're just kind of, hanging out. Here they are again, at a Mexican cafe. This is them here. He's paying after they probably had more drinks. It comes out like later that they were both had drank a lot. This is December 1st, and Grace's birthday is actually December 2nd, the next day. So she's kind of out celebrating, and he's in like the texts before they meet, like, he's like, "Oh, happy birthday, I'll pay for everything," like I had said before. And so she's kinda celebrating. They're out having a good time. I'm just showing you that this it seems pointless, but I just wanna show you how, like, they're both smiling and laughing, and it's not like anything weird is going on. It just seems like 2 people having a good time out on their first date. And this is them again out at Blue Stone Room, which I think is like a club or a bar. About 5:54. And this is them here at the table. They're getting really close, and so you can just see that they're having a good time. They are, like, making out, talking, laughing, so things seem to be going really well, and it's this point in the night, like, it shows a video when he goes to the restroom or whatever. Grace texts her friends and says, having a really good time. He we seem to really click, and she says that she'd actually like him, not just as a like a one night meetup kind of thing, but she feels like she actually likes this guy. So you can see that they really are getting along and things are going good. Yeah, so I just want to show like all that evidence there. But as you can see, like you can follow them the whole night about see what they're doing. So it's really hard, especially when he is like questioned later. But what he does when he doesn't say, when he doesn't tell the truth, like it's pretty obvious. Like I said, there's lots of footage. They're eventually seen heading back to the City Life Hotel, which is where Jesse is renting an apartment or a room. Like it is a hotel, but he's living there. And there's footage of them in the elevator and them getting off at Jesse's floor. Everything seems natural. And like I said, she had texted her friend and said that she likes this guy, everything's going good. And so it doesn't seem weird that she would go back to his apartment with him. And this is the last time that Grace is ever seen alive, is her stepping out of this elevator. As you can see, everything is still going fine. She seems happy. She's still like smiling. And then this will be the last time that she is ever seen on CCTV footage, is her stepping out, and that's it. So Grace's family becomes really worried when they stop hearing from her because, like I said, she had been texting, sending pictures along her journey, and of course, December 2nd was her 22nd birthday. She wasn't responding to happy birthday texts or anything, and so that was a red flag immediately, and so her family does report her missing right away, and the investigation begins, and luckily the police do take this pretty seriously, and having all the CCTV footage everywhere, like in bars, in the streets, in the elevators, at the hotels, really makes their job a lot easier because once they figure out, like, who they're looking for and where they need to look, they can just get those videos really quickly and start tracking their steps, which is what they do. And so very quickly they figure out who Jesse is and bring him in for questioning. And he originally states that his date with Grace, went well, but they went separate ways at the end of the night. So he walks home. He says he goes like a really weird way home and that she went the opposite way. And this is before police have all of the CCTV footage. And so his story seems like it's believable, like what he's telling them, but they do figure out pretty quickly that he's lying because they have that footage of them in the elevator, and so obviously they didn't part ways because she literally went upstairs with him. Once they confront him again with this footage that, "Oh, yeah, actually, we see you, like, with her going up to your apartment, we know that she was with you," he changes his story, and he says that he had originally slept until about 10 a.m. the next morning, and they catch him in that lie again because there's footage of him in the elevator, like, at 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, I'm gonna pull up just footage again just because it helps tell the story. So this is him the next morning at, like, 8 o'clock, getting on the elevator. There's no sign of Grace, and there's like timestamps down here that say like 8 something. And so him saying that he slept in, didn't even get out of bed until 10 o'clock in the morning, they know right away that this is a lie. And it seems weird that he knows there's cameras. You can see him look directly at the camera. So I'm not sure if he just thinks they're not going to pull that footage, or if they don't know that there's footage, or like what he's thinking, because,
Like,
like it's obvious that there's footage there, right?
And that's the only
that's
argument is like that the time on the footage is wrong. Because I've seen that in
but
like an alarming number of cases where it's like, oh, the time was just off. Have you seen that in other cases? Like, oh, the time and
Yeah, I
date is
have seen
wrong.
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You would have to think there's not gonna be like, it will show her coming out of his room if she did. You know what I mean? Like, uh, um, why he didn't think of that? I mean, he looks like, he looks like an idiot, but I mean, I just don't know why he wouldn't think of that. Like, he has to show her coming out of the room. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I
if
know
you
if
want
he
any sort of defense at all, it has to be evidence that she left your apartment.
I know, yeah. Yeah, if he knows that there's, like, cameras everywhere, like, why would he think that he could get her up there, but then her not coming down wasn't gonna be noticed? I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't, like, just didn't realize that they could g I don't that they were gonna look at the footage. He probably didn't think that he was gonna be a suspect so early on or something, and that by the time they got to him, the footage would be gone because it, like, does record over itself. What he probably wouldn't even think about any of that. He probably think he was gonna get away with this, and, like, the footage would be irrelevant because they wouldn't even look at it because they wouldn't know it was him. I think that's probably what he's thinking. So, yeah, there's also I'm not gonna show all of this just because it'll be, like, just jumping around forever, but there's footage of him going to a department store that morning. Like, that's where he's headed in that footage I just showed, and he checks out the luggage department, and he buys the largest suitcase that he can find and brings it back to his apartment. There's also footage of him buying lots of cleaning products, taking them back. Um,
So he's just an idiot. Like,
yeah, like there's
he's totally
this
an
footage
idiot.
throughout the stores, yeah, throughout his apartment, in the streets. There's also footage of him renting like a carpet cleaner and bringing that up to his apartment the same day.
He really
Um,
is as dumb as he looks. That's
Although I guess she's like, thank God he is so stupid.
I
Like,
know.
otherwise, like, no one would ever know.
But
Like,
I mean, well, thank God for the CCTV footage, because like, there's no way you could get around that, right? There's no way you can get away with this with that footage there, regardless of how smart you are, I feel,
yeah, I mean, the only
right?
way is like maybe like
Destroying
buy
the
all the
camera
stuff
first.
months in advance.
like, you could be the
Yeah.
smartest person. You could be the smartest killer out there. If there's cameras, I mean, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You
Yeah,
can't you can't
how
fake
you
someone
gonna
coming out of the room when you know what I
that's what I
mean?
mean.
Like,
Yeah, how are you gonna cover up the fact that
that she
she
never
went in
left.
your room and never came out?
Should she go out the window or something?
Yeah, she went down the fire escape because, you know, but there's probably a camera on the outside of the building too that would show that. So, I mean, it's really difficult to get away with it. There's also footage of him getting in a cab, and footage of him in the cab, like the dash cam shows him clearly like just sitting in the cab. And he goes to a rental car company and he rents a car for 24 hours. And then there's actually like no footage of him after he's like in the rental car and like driving away somewhere. But then there is footage of him coming back and going to a car wash and like thoroughly cleaning out that rental car. Okay, I'm going to show you some more footage just so you can get the vibe of what's going on here. And of course, like all these by themselves, they just don't seem like anything's going on. But once you know the story, it's like, oh yeah, not looking good. So here's footage of him at a department store, and look what he's buying. It's a shovel. And so he also buys like nuts and bolts and a shovel, and like investigators think that this is kind of just like and he's like talking to the person about this, what he's buying, and they think that's just like a distraction sort of to be like, oh, I'm not going in to buy a shovel, being sketchy. I'm like buying a few things.
I'm buying a shovel even though I live in a hotel. I would never need a shovel for anything.
We never
Like, it's
know.
not like he has his own
Maybe he's a
house where he would be doing
landscaper.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like he had a manual label day in his life.
Okay, yeah. So there's just like all this evidence that, like I said, like by themselves, they don't look like much, but when you know the story and piece it all together, it's, like, very obvious of what's happening. There's also footage of him, going to, like, random garbage cans and throwing out just random bags of stuff, and I'm talking, like, really random locations that not on his way, not somewhere where he would go. It's, like, really random places, and he's just throwing stuff in the garbage. They have footage of that too. Like, they could literally follow him around, and so they have footage of him throwing out random things. So I'm gonna show this last piece of footage here, and this is probably, like, the most once you realize what's happening, this is probably, like, the most haunting piece of footage that we have. Back at City Life Hotel. This is 9:30 PM, as it just said. So here we have Jesse with one of those luggage corral things, and seems like people have analyzed this before. And like, yeah, it seems like it's really heavy. Like he's a big guy, but it seems like he was struggling with this, getting it around the corner and everything. And you can see that there's suitcases. It looks like there's a one on top, and I think there's like a bigger one underneath, which is the one that he had purchased earlier. And the reason I think that one's pretty light because you can see him kind of like pick it up, sort of. And then you can clearly see there's one underneath. And then he leaves with his quote unquote luggage. And there's further footage of him packing up that rental car that he rented for 24 hours and driving away. And that's kind of, they can't follow the rental car after that. So yeah, it's that short little piece there. Look again, looking at it, it seems like, oh, he's just packing up. But of course, I think you probably know what's going on here. And once I talk about it, you'll be like, holy crap. So yeah, without context, it looks like there's not much. But Jesse later confesses to killing Grace. Like we all know that. And he kills her that night in his apartment. And his defense is that they were having like rough sex or whatever and it had gone wrong. And he says that they were both super drunk and that he had fallen asleep in the shower. And then afterwards he woke up and he just thought that she was gone because it was
How do you
quiet.
fall asleep in the
He didn't
shower?
hear. I know. Were you standing up? Like, were you laying down in the shower? Like, what was going on? But anyway, that's what he claimed. And he thought she was gone because when he woke up, it was really quiet and he didn't see her. So he just figured she bailed while he was in the shower. And then he says that he goes back to sleep in his bed and that it's not until he wakes up again that he realizes that Grace is on the floor with blood coming out of her nose. And he says this is where he kind of panics and he goes into shock. He doesn't know what to do. He says that she wasn't breathing and she was cold. And so, yeah, like full panic sets in. But instead of calling 911 or 111 or 999 or whatever, calling anyone for help, he just leaves his apartment and starts doing all those activities that I just showed you on the CCTV footage, right? Like 8 o'clock in the morning is him going out buying a suitcase. Like he clearly knew what he was about to do. And what's also crazy is like during this day, like so the day after December 2nd, there's footage of Jesse going on another Tinder date with another woman. And this woman later comes forward saying that she like left the date early because he started talking about like really sketchy things. Like he was saying that there was bodies that kept being found at the Waitakere Ranges, which is an area just outside of Auckland, and the police weren't sure how they were getting there or who was doing it. Not like they couldn't figure out who was responsible. And he also brought up a story that his friend was going through, like his friend had accidentally killed his girlfriend like during rough sex, and because of that mistake, now he was gonna have to pay for it for the rest of his life. And this woman was like, "This is, like, really creepy. Why are you talking about this on a first date?" And so instead of just going anywhere with him, she just left. But, like, I'm not sure what his end game was here. Like, he couldn't bring her back to his apartment. Like, this while he was on a date with this woman, like, Grace was still dead on the floor of his apartment. And it came out that, she had been manually strangled, and so that she was just, like, he'd killed her and she was lying on his floor, and then he went out on a Tinder date with somebody else.
Does he serial killer? Like, did he kill many other people?
I don't know. There's like no
he seems too
evidence or
dumb
anything
to be
that
one.
came out. Yeah.
Mm.
But
Because
he
I
was
was
bored.
because I noticed when you were talking, because I saw, I think the footage from the elevator where he's with the luggage was like December 3rd. So that's like a day after.
Yeah.
He killed her, so she was in the apartment for like a day.
Yeah. Mhm. And so
Crazy.
I'm not sure, yes, like I said, he went out on a Tinder date December 2nd, so she was still in his apartment, and then whenever he was cleaning up, and, like, by the time he packed her up in that suitcase and then went out in the elevator, yeah, I guess it was a day later. Super sketchy. And, yeah, he spends the day, like, that day, the next day cleaning up, and, yeah, so I guess he just after his date doesn't work out, he goes back and, like, just finishes what he was, doing. Like I said, we learn that this is all afterwards that comes out, all this footage, so we learn that he buys all that stuff, he gets that rug doctor to try and clean up his mess. Of course, with that luggage corral in the elevator, we know that Grace's body was in one of those suitcases. That's why it's so haunting when you're looking back, because she's actually in there, and then he packs her into the rental car and takes her to the Waitakere Ranges, where he uses that shovel that we saw him buy to bury her in a shallow grave. And after he confesses, he does lead investigators to the area, and they do find Grace's body in the suitcase buried. Like, it seems like obviously he didn't panic, like he had a plan, because when he's questioned, he says, like, they ask him about why he buying the suitcase, like, they have footage, and he's like, "Well, if you're insinuating that I did something with that suitcase, like, I have it in my apartment right now, like, you can go and see it's still there." He had actually went back and bought a second exact same suitcase and put it in his apartment so that if the police did look for it, he'd be like, "Well, this is it, brand new, sitting in his apartment." And they did find the suitcase there. So it
They
was
already
like he
and but
he bought another one.
yeah, but then they say, "I bought this one, it's brand new, empty in my apartment, but as you'll see on the camera, I also bought one before." So, I'm like, "What an idiot."
I know, yeah, but as the footage shows, yeah, I carried the other one out in the car
But he had
corral,
2
so
suitcases, so she was just in one of them, and then what was in the other one?
yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was just like to make it look like he was, like, packing a bunch of stuff. I don't know what was in the other one. But it's not like he dismembered her or anything, like, she was fully in that one big suitcase. So, it seems like I don't know, he says he panicked and was in shock, but yeah, he went through all these steps to cover his tracks, which to me doesn't feel like someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Obviously, the full story is out now, like, his whole story is unraveled, that he's saying that they parted ways, and then he's saying that, oh, he didn't know what happened to her. He does plead not guilty, though, because he's saying that it was an accident. In November of 2019, the case went to trial in Auckland High Court. Jesse pleaded not guilty. His defense was that Grace's death was an accident resulting from consensual rough sex activity that became fatal. Prosecutors, of course, argue that strangulation that results in death cannot be accidental, because the sustained force that is required, you have to hold someone like that for like 5 to 10 minutes without relief for them to die from manual strangulation. And it just doesn't seem possible that you wouldn't know that that was happening for a whole 5 minutes. And forensic pathologists actually testified that, yeah, the force applied was not accidental. It required substantial continued pressure that would render a person unconscious before death. After hearing weeks of evidence, I think the trial was like 3 weeks long, and seeing all the CCTV footage, expert testimony, and online search records, because like the day after, this was like I think December 2nd, he went on that Tinder date, he looked up porn on his computer, he was looking up things like the hottest fire, and I think people are assuming that he was like thinking how long or how much would it take to like burn a body, because he was looking up fire. So the jury only deliberated for about 5 hours before returning a unanimous guilty verdict on November 22nd of 2019.
5 hours? I thought
Yeah,
like
that seems long.
40 minutes.
I mean, yeah, I get, well, 5 hours, I guess not that long considering some go on for weeks, right? So, and I think there's like a minimum time where the jury has to be. You can't just be like a half hour and you're done. Like I think there's like a minimum time where you have
You
to
probably
actually
have to
sit
walk
there.
through all the evidence and, like, discuss
Again,
it,
yeah.
probably, yeah.
And you probably have to have at least like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours before you can come back. I don't know that for sure. That's just my assumption. But anyway, yeah. February of 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 17 years, which is one of New Zealand's most serious penalties. So, yeah, life without parole for 17 years. But it later came out that he had a history of violence and rape earlier in his life. And there's like one of his ex-girlfriends comes forward and saying that he was super violent towards her and that she did report him to police and that she actually, like, had to, like, basically run for her life and leave him while he was, threatening to kill her, and she thinks that if the police had taken her seriously back then Grace would probably still be alive today. They dismissed the charges that she was trying to put against him because there really was no evidence. It was like he said, she said kinda thing. And so, yeah, this wasn't out of the blue, like, he had done really shitty, sketchy things before this as well.
Loser.
And yeah, so he's in jail 17 years before he can have parole, and yeah, that's just another scary story of meeting a stranger online, and the results were awful.
Yeah, that's like
Crazy.
yeah, that's just like yeah, perfect, like, worst case scenario right there.
Yeah. Thank God for CCTV footage and for him being stupid. So,
I know.
because otherwise, like, if there was no footage, or he was smart enough to, like, plan it differently, it could have been well, they wouldn't find out it was him, even though it's very obvious. But yeah,
Yeah, even if it was an accident, like, if he didn't mean to, it's just like, why go through all that to cover it up and then lie
yeah,
about it? It's like, if you really were in shock and, like, panicking, like, tell somebody, like, you'd think you'd call the police right away and be like, this wasn't supposed to happen," instead of, yeah, literally putting her in a suitcase and burying her, like, that's kinda seals your deal right there. Even if you didn't plan the death, you plan the aftermath and trying to cover it up. So obviously sketchy shit went down. And the fact that he had like a history of assault and rape, and he actually later, after he was in court for murder, he did get extra charges put on him, like 11 more years, which run concurrently with his current sentence. So yeah, he did get charged for those other crimes, but a little
So,
bit late.
like, obviously, CCTV was good here, like, in this case, but it's shitty everywhere else pretty much, so, like, it's always important to tell people who you're meeting and where you're meeting at, always. Like, the name of the person, and that's just a no, little
Yeah.
tip.
And the thing was, like, they met in public, right? It was like there's people everywhere, so it's not like, and the fact that there was no red flags and she was actually liking him and he wasn't being, like, sketchy the whole time, it's just, like, even scarier, I feel, because she didn't feel like she had to get out of that situation. She was happy to, like, go back with him, so yeah, it just seems really sketchy, and, like, when he's talking to police, he was the one that thinking, like, he had to be safe because he was saying, "Oh, I wanted to meet in a public place because I thought she might be a catfish, and if she was, and, I'd be out in the public where I could, like." I just felt safer. It's like, you're not the one that needs, to feel safe here, like, yeah, so it made him feel, yeah. It's just, like, him talking about him, potentially being scared, but fuck you.
He's a psychopath, and that's the scariest part, you can't tell. Like,
yeah. Except
y
that one
yeah.
woman did tell, and she got the fuck out of there. Thank
Yeah,
God.
like,
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that
Yeah.
he was, like, able to be super not sketchy with Grace, but then with her, it's like he couldn't help himself but be sketchy and weird.
I mean, if that was the first time he's ever killed, he probably just it probably would change him. He probably couldn't that's probably all he could think about, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably like, "Holy shit, I just killed somebody," and,
Yeah.
like, that's the first time he ever done it. He's probably like, "I have to," like, but he probably would be completely different person than the night before, you know?
Yeah. And, like, one of the things I was watching, I think, like, one of the investigators or somebody looking into this case was saying, like, the fact that he was talking to this other woman about, like, oh, his brother or his friend or something was going through that situation, but actually it was him. It was kind of like him putting it out there to see what this other person would say, being like, "Oh, yeah, like, that really is a bad situation, like, I feel bad for your friend, like, it's not his
Yeah,
fault." Like, he was kinda looking for that validation just to
yeah,
comfort himself, but really that woman was like, "This is sketchy as fuck, I'm out."
yeah, yeah,
Thank God for that. But, like, again, where was he gonna take her if she got into his car? Couldn't take her back to the apartment.
yeah,
Like, what was your end
yeah.
He's
game?
probably hoping
Anyway,
that she would offer to, like, go to her place or something, or he would make
yeah.
up some
Ugh.
excuse like, "Oh, I."
The feeling that she must have looking
It's
back, being like,
terrifying.
knowing that Grace was, like, dead in his apartment as she was out with
Yeah,
him. Ooh, that's
yeah,
just,
that's
yeah,
just
It's
you
terrifying.
just
creepy.
you
Give me
never
the chills.
know. I just I never I've never done I don't do online dating, and I won't, and that's just terrifying.
I know, so sketchy.
Yeah.
Scary.
Terrifying. Ugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they found the person and he's actually in jail paying the price. Like that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
because there are stories out
Okay.
there where it's like they can't
Yeah.
find who did it because
No.
they like actually cover their tracks and there's not CCTV footage everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so thank God for those cameras.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere, like tracking their entire
Yeah.
date basically,
And like
like
good
Yeah.
quality
afterwards.
cameras,
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
it looks like it's from 1941 or something.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
actually you can tell who they are and
Yeah.
it's consistent and
Yeah.
like actually good
Yeah.
quality.
There's even footage of him in the cab, and it's like the camera's like right in the middle, so he's like sitting in the middle back seat. It's like right on his face.
Yeah.
Like there's no hiding. It's like perfect. It's like clearer than
Yeah.
the videos that were like of us right now. And it's just like
Yeah.
there's no getting out of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I
What an
mean,
idiot.
yeah,
Yeah. Loser.
super sad case. Yeah,
It
Mhm.
is.
and super scary.
Yeah, like traveling abroad as a single woman anyways, that's already things are stacked against you. And then you add an online date you go add online dating to it, like, yeah, it's just awful. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. And even like I said this before, even though they met in like a public place and he wasn't
Yeah.
sketchy and they like hung out
Yeah.
like all night and he was like
So
buying
it's like
stuff. He was like
so
buying
like
the drinks.
so she did everything that you say you do. So what do you do now? What is the new, what do they say? She did everything. Now it's like they
Yeah,
met in a public place. Now what if you can't do that, you can't how are you supposed to meet anybody?
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
It's crazy
You know?
because like even if she didn't go home with them that night, it could have been on the next date.
Right.
Like eventually, like yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah. Like it's just
crazy.
Yeah.
you just never know who you
But
are meeting.
yeah, if all those cameras weren't there, like he very likely would
Oh,
have gotten away with it
she
for
we
sure.
probably still would you would know where she was right now.
Nope.
And he probably would do it to someone else. I mean, there's so many predators out there.
Yeah, it's so scary.
It really is.
Yeah, so that's all I have for my episode. Yeah, sketchy online dating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always letting out someone
Yeah. What's the,
always letting someone know where you are when you're meeting
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I feel like even though she met in a public place, like, she could have texted I'm not blaming her, but, like, I feel like the next steps would be, like, "This is who I'm meeting," like, and
Yeah.
tell the guy that, like, "My friends know your name, they know where I'm going, I'm texting them the address when I get there," and, like, if he knows all that stuff, obviously, he's either like, "Okay, you're not coming with me," or he, like, knows people are
Just
gonna be
I
able to
always
find
be
you right
like, "Oh, I
away.
just," like, every hour, like, "Oh, I just had to text my friend," like, I told them every hour if they don't hear me if an hour goes by but they don't hear me, they will be,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
so I just text even if that you don't do that, which you should, I would always just say that. "Oh, I gotta do my hour check-in with with my mom,"
Mhm.
or you know what I mean? Like, with my
Yeah, so
friends
even if the
or
person is, like, planning something, like, they're definitely gonna second guess if they know
Yeah.
someone's gonna be, like, looking
Yeah.
they know exactly where you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's always good to have a plan, but
I know, it's so
I
shitty that
think
you have to do that kinda stuff.
I know, but I feel like this is back in 2018. I feel like it's more people more aware of that now. I
Yeah.
think more people, but there's always people that you have to take more you just everyone had women just have to take more precautions with everything.
Yep.
So, yeah.
it's crazy.
Mhm.
Crazy. All right. So that does it for this week's episode. If you are a fan of the show and you want to follow us or engage with us, you can follow us on Crime Family Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And you can find us on YouTube. Just type in Crime Family Podcast. You'll find us. You can subscribe to our channel and like our videos, comment. We like to hear from you. If you can also leave us reviews of the podcast on your podcast app that you listen to us on. Find the video versions of these episodes on Spotify if you listen to us there, or the video on YouTube as well. But if it's just audio versions everywhere else, yeah, that does it for this week. We will be back next week with a brand new episode and case. And until then, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.